Welcome to Life Lean In, a podcast that brings you biblical insight and tested tips on living your life to its fullest potential while leaning into the influence you've been given. And now, your host, Pastor Dan Smith.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Life Lean In. Man, where we talk about all the time, nobody's perfect. We're all in process. And so here's the deal. We want you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep leaning in. So today's topic, man, is awesome. It's all about, man, women who are just killing it, successful in the business world, in church, and leadership. And man, I have a very special guest with me today, someone who's very important to me personally, a good friend, Julie Brown. Welcome to Life Lean In.
Thanks, Pastor Dan. It is awesome to be here.
Well, man,
how fun.
This is fun. We're gonna have a blast. And to get it started, let's introduce you to everyone who is watching or listening to this podcast. We like to do something fun to help people to know you by doing kind of a rapid fire question. So you're gonna fill in the blank.
Okay.
All right? Are you ready?
I got it.
You're on the hot seat.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Your favorite place to travel is?
Upper Michigan, Mackinac Island.
Beautiful.
All day long.
Love it. Do you stay in the Grand Hotel?
I have.
Yeah.
And I love it. But give me the smell of horse poop any day, and I'm in heaven up there.
Oh, it's amazing. That's amazing. I actually have not. Well, have I been back? I have been back once, but I proposed to Kelsey on Mackinac Island.
Wow, what a beautiful place to do it. I think Tim, my husband's and my dream is that we would spend 6 months on the island from fall to spring just to see what it was like on the island.
That's amazing.
Wouldn't that be fun?
It
Totally
would
secluded.
Semi-terrify me because I'd be like, I need bread. Where do I get it?
Right.
Or I back in the day, I used to have to go to Lowe's all the time for, hey, I need this wrench or I need this screw. Where do you go?
Where do you
they
go?
have that on the island?
You won't need those on the island.
Anyways, this is supposed to be rapid fire and I'm failing. The one word your husband would use to describe you is?
Ooh, one word. I would say he would use the word wise.
Wise.
I think he would use the word wise.
What would I did not prepare you for this. What's the one word you would use to describe him?
Hilarious.
Tim Brown, hilarious. That's fantastic because the man tells so many jokes.
Oh my gosh.
Constantly.
He hooked me with his jokes.
And I'll be
it
honest,
worked.
most of the time, because I'm not that smart of a human, it takes me a long time to catch up. But yes, he is hilarious.
I've heard them all, Dan, many times.
Then there you go. So you laugh continuously.
Yes.
Your favorite musical artist of all time?
Ooh, artist. There's artist and there's band. I would say artist.
Or band, yeah, either one.
Artist would be Bonnie Raitt. Band, the Doobie Brothers, man.
The Doobie Brothers.
You gotta have.
Did you know that to this day, my father-in-law, Dr. Mark Knopfsinger's ringtone is the Doobie Brothers?
What song?
Do you think I have any idea?
We'll have to find out, because now I gotta
wish.
get one.
Yeah, I know. I wish I knew,
I
but I'm trying to remember what it even goes like. Well, I'm not going to pull
He's
it out.
even cooler now.
No.
Good deal.
Favorite song of all time?
Favorite song of all time? Earth, Wind, and Fire, September.
So good.
So
So
good.
good.
I just want to dance right now.
So, okay, next one. One meal that you would spend with anyone, alive or dead, meaning they're alive or dead, who would you
Good deal.
choose?
Abraham Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln. Honest Abe.
I would.
That would be fantastic.
Totally dig that.
Oh my gosh, I would be
Yes.
over. I honestly, I couldn't answer that question. There's so many people,
Right,
and I
right.
just love to eat.
Right.
So,
Right.
favorite thing? What's your favorite thing about yourself?
I'm a really good listener.
I agree.
I
agree.
I love people's stories.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's the last one, and it's the most important one. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes. It's surrounded by bread.
By
So
definition,
therefore, it's a sandwich.
by definition,
Never
is a
thought
hot
about
dog a
that.
sandwich? Hey, in the comments, man, we want to know, what do you think? Is a hot dog a sandwich? This is important. This is research. Well, let's get started. Today's topic, man, we're going to talk about you as a leader. You've accomplished some incredible things in your life, and you are continuing to do that. But man, growing up, man, you've been a successful business owner, CEO. You've been successful in so many different areas of serving our community. But as growing up, little Julie Brown, just a wee little person,
Yes.
what did you want to be?
Well, I wanted to be a singer. And so I would set up my Fisher Price toys so that I could be a singer, and I'd have a stage, and my stepdad would always play country music and, hits of the day. So I would make so those of you too young to know what a Fisher Price person is, little wooden people.
Yep.
I know I got you on age, my friend, but do you know?
I
what
absolutely know
Fisher
these
Price-
things.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I would set them up, and I was going to be a singer. Then as I got older, I thought that's going to take a lot of work and a lot of luck and a lot of this and a lot of that. So I thought I'm going to be a news reporter. I think I'll be a journalist, because I thought I get to write, I get to use my curiosity, ask people questions, and it was a very noble thing to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got into high school, there was this gal that was the first female TV anchor, Jessica Savage, in New York. And I thought, I want to do that. So I was going to be a TV news anchor. And that's what I set out to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and it obviously performing in front of all of those little wooden Fisher Price people would have helped you to have accomplished that goal. Well, yeah, and obviously you've had a great experience in that. You're well spoken. You love.
Oh, thank you.
You've even said this. You're like a wordsmith. You
Yeah,
love words.
I'm a word nerd. I can't.
And that's incredible.
It's a curse. But I will look up words to see what they mean. And
I hope you don't follow me on social media, because I am the king of typos. I've been told. So
I'll
our
be your
team has to
proofreader.
fix those.
Well, you got to have a good proofreader.
Yeah,
Always.
exactly. So
life.
you grew up wanting to be a musician. You still do music.
I have a band. My
Yeah.
husband and I have a band. We're loving it. I've been on the worship team at New Life, and many worship teams, many bands. Music is it's such a gift from God to be able to. It's the glue with people.
Yeah.
I don't care what side of the political aisle they're on, what country they're from, what age they are, but music is this incredible glue. So for my husband and me, music is like an incredibly important hobby, and our business is based around music too. So
Mhm.
we're kind of surrounded by.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, and I know Kelsey and I, one of the things we love about stuff that you even do with music, I don't know if you still do this. I know that during the Christmas season, you used to gather a bunch of friends. I think
yeah.
you still do this. You gather friends and you'll sit around and play music in your living
Yeah.
room, and then you'll go carol
Yep.
to all the neighbors, and
Yeah.
it's just fantastic. And of course, you do a huge concert usually in the summertime to benefit your
Yeah.
husband's brother.
Yes.
Sundays on Sunday, and it's just a
Exactly.
fantastic event. So
yeah,
it's
we've used music a lot
you bring it together.
to raise money and
Yeah.
For many years. So yeah.
Well, you guys are so gifted in that
Well,
way, and
thank
it's
you
just
very much.
I love the idea that music brings you together.
yeah.
It's just awesome. It's so true. So you grew up wanting to be a singer. You went into broadcasting and maybe becoming a
Yeah.
reporter or a investigative journalist, something like that. What took you to business? Like where did that all come from? You said it has to do with music.
Yep.
What
Yeah.
did you find? Like how did you go, man, this is something that the world needs,
Yep.
and we're going to create this business.
Yeah.
Where'd it come from?
Yeah. When you look back, you go, wow, how did I get here? So my plans were interrupted when I had a child in
Yep.
college.
Mm-hmm.
And my plans to go to New York and be this big famous TV star were dashed, and I had to rethink everything. And so over the next few years, I had some fits and starts where I had to drop out of school, and
Mhm.
I had to but I could always talk myself into a job because I was pretty trustworthy, and so I got some really good jobs early on, and I'm thankful for that. But then I met my husband to be
Yeah.
Tim Brown,
Yeah.
who was already in music, and he had this concept for a business that would help businesses market themselves to callers on hold.
Yeah.
And we're in 3 years into our marriage. We've got a baby on the way, and because we have our older son that he helped me raise, and I thought, on hold, who in the world would ever start a business with that? Well, aren't I the fool? Because here we are, years later, we're 24 years into this thing and 15 employees
Yeah.
and about to hire 2 more. And he was onto something, because again, like we were talking about a moment ago, music is the glue. Well,
Yeah.
music is the glue for people just trying to wait to get some help from an agent
Right.
in a contact center.
Yes.
And it can be either really bad or it can be either really good.
Yeah.
So our business helps it be really good.
I love
So
it.
if it's really good on hold, then I'm sure it's our company.
And I have literally sent you messages
Yes, you have.
saying I was just on hold with my doctor's office or whatever. And man, it's just like the elevator music or just
Right.
the crappy jazz, whatever
Right,
it is. And you're
right.
like, you guys are needed
It's-
everywhere. Because
with-
every time you call anyone,
Well,
you're on a call, like
for
a whole
sure.
system of some
and
sort.
one of our biggest customers is T-Mobile, and they handle 1 million calls a day.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah.
About the contact center you need for that.
Yes.
And you better have a really good experience for those people, or what are they gonna do? They're going on social media and
Right.
complain. So our business helps large companies like that figure all that out, and
Mhm.
to the dentist office around the corner
Yeah.
too. So big and small, you
Yeah.
gotta have it.
I
So,
love it. I love
yeah.
it. So you are actually, so your husband had this idea.
Yep.
You guys were like, okay, we're gonna do this. You were
He
figuring
was gonna do it.
he was gonna do
I
it.
stayed working. This was
So
his
what were you
thing.
doing at that time?
So I worked for a Kalamazoo-based organization called the Gilmore Keyboard Festival.
That's right. I remember
And
you
I was
telling
the
me that.
first marketing director for the first 10 years, and traveled all around the world and put these incredible concerts on locally. But this thing that he was doing was starting to work.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we were having another child. And I had this heart's desire to, how can I do both?
Sure.
Could I be home with my children and have a career too? And I think that's the juggle that so many women are facing. So by taking, and I went to him, and he was nervous because he was of the generation of women now work.
Sure.
So I had to go to him after successfully working, saying, I'm just feeling like God is wanting me to not do this anymore. And he was terrified because I was the bread and butter while he was building this little
Right.
business.
Yes. Right.
So we took a leap of faith, and I brought college girls in while I worked from home, and then saw that so that was to get through the end of my Gilmore career. But then I saw that his business really needed my help, and I'm a pretty good administrator. I'm a pretty good visualizer of where people need to be, and problem solver. And I could see that he really needed that help.
Mhm.
So I left Gilmore and joined him, and it was slim pickings for a long time. It was very scary
Yeah.
to leave something that you know is a sure paycheck to go jump into the world of entrepreneurialism.
Mhm.
Didn't know what we didn't know. I had never gone to business school, neither had he. We've got 3 kids now. We're working late, but we were tenacious
Mhm.
in that we're going for broke here,
Right.
literally going for broke.
Yep.
Didn't know about things like profit and loss statements and balance sheets and a budget, and how do you hire people and how do you fire people and how do you manage people. And so I took that on behalf of our business because it wasn't his sweet spot. His sweet spot is the visualizer of we need this product and this product. So together, God has knitted us in an incredible way when I look back how this all happened with what little we didn't know,
Right.
which is a testament to God can fill in the gaps where you have big holes in your understanding or your confidence, and he'll come alongside you.
Yeah.
And I just see it as just an incredible thing.
Well, Julie, I love what you said about tenacity, because I think even some of the identity of this podcast, the idea of like never stop learning, never stop growing,
Yep.
is, I was even talking to Kelsey, my wife, last night about how in our world we've made this thing called college like the end all be all
Yep.
for people graduating from high school.
Exactly.
And not everyone's meant to do that. Like I know extremely successful business owners, entrepreneurs, people into trades that didn't go to college. They didn't need to go to college.
That's right.
But man, they were learners.
Yeah.
Like they weren't going to keep what they didn't know from going after it. And I love that tenacity that you talk about, because it's crucial. You can have an idea and you can have that entrepreneurial spirit, and you may lack a lot of things, but if you have the want to,
That's right.
you'll learn it.
That's right.
And you'll learn what you don't know, and or bring in people to help you to understand what you don't know. And
Yep.
man, starting a church, there's a heck of a lot of things that I did not know about starting a church.
And I have thought about you and Kelsey a lot. Has it been 6 years now? We're going on year
5 years,
6?
yeah.
Okay.
5. It'll be 6. Yeah,
We're-
start of our 6th year in 2 weeks. Yep.
Right. So 5 whole years.
Yep.
And I thought how much the ideas that you thought were the most brilliant ideas, you go, that was terrible. What was I
Right.
thinking?
Yep.
But you got to do the trial and error, and you need a team
Mhm.
with you that says, I get you.
Yes.
And we're going to let you fail in front of us, but we're here to support you. And I think that is also the kind of team that I've had to build even at my business. I've got some key people that we couldn't do this business without them.
Yeah.
They know who they are.
Yep.
But it takes time to get there.
Yep.
And tenacity. If you're in it to win it, you got to stay in it to win it.
Yeah.
You can't. There are days I'm sure that you would never, maybe you and Kelsey would never admit to anybody's like, why did we ever say that we would do this? And those are those moments where, right, where the devil goes, maybe you should just go back to the work world, Dan, and
Well, and we were
Kelsey, go get a job
we
somewhere
were
else.
similar to you and Tim. Like God had placed this in my heart from even years before, I even met Kelsey. And so, we were just like you guys in terms of like, I'm called to do this and she's for it, but she's not, she wasn't going to step into it necessarily as a staff member at the, at the beginning or anything like that. But man, now she's using her gifts to help and well. And it's really a beautiful picture of how God, like you said, has put our gifts that complement each other so well.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the question. You're the CEO of the company. How did that happen? So this was your husband's brainchild, his vision, and now you run the ship.
Well, Tim has often said, if I had to be asked for a cost of what it is to buy our service, I would just give it away for free.
Yes.
And
Love
I
it.
said, well, we can't have that
Right.
because we
Gotta
need to
make
be
money.
we need to be profitable.
Yes.
And Tim knew what he was getting when he asked me to marry him, and I'm a strong woman.
Yes.
And so I said, I'm going to run the company. I think how about if I step in? And at first I didn't want to call myself president or CEO, but I had to eventually get to that point because now we're entertaining calls with key customers, and we're trying to get some investment money, and somebody had to own the lead, and I just said, I think I need to be it.
Yep.
And he's such a confident. He has no self-esteem issues.
That's fantastic.
He was totally good. He was fine. In fact, I think he was grateful for it. So this does mean that my husband does report to me, and that's tricky.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you and Kelsey,
Yep.
right? It's tricky. And
Have either of you quit on each other or fired each other?
I have quit on him, but he never quits on me. He won't go anywhere. He's like,
I'm not even going to tell you what has happened in our home behind the scenes.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And for us, it's 24 years. For you,
Sure.
it's 5.
Right.
There was one time many years ago that I was so frustrated with the decision he'd made with the developer that we'd hired that I started to sell Mary Kay cosmetics on the side. What a joke that was.
Goodness.
And that was a gazillion years ago. But I had to go through that too of what am I committed to? And now once I got it into my head and my gut that this is what we're doing, I took off like fire.
That's awesome.
And I'm on fire.
Right.
And we're in it to win it, like I said. And I think I'm really good at this person needs to be here and we need to do this, and how about this by this, and how about you come over here, and then just orchestrate and organize everything.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's needed. I mean, like obviously I was a football player. A good head coach is the one who's looking at all the players going, hey, I know you want to play running back, but man, you really are good over here and we need you
exactly
over here. And
that's right.
So that's fantastic.
That's right.
I love that. So is there like a moment, I mean, you said like you had this moment with Tim where he's made mistakes or whatever. Like what, like you said, he's confident. That's crucial.
Yeah.
Like I love the fact that you said, man, he's confident. He's not, what's the word I'm looking for? I think so many people when it comes to couples, married couples, is they struggle, especially Christians, with who's supposed to lead.
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, when I look at the Bible, God talks about our gifts that he's given every single one of us.
Yep.
And I often argue that Kelsey is actually built more biblically in the spiritual gift of pastor. Like she will minister to a person, a sheep, if you will, one-on-one, so much better than I do. I pastor a flock. Like
Gotcha.
when it comes to
Yep.
shepherding
Yep.
flock, sheep,
Yep.
see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so like, but how that works.
You're seeing the hillside, and she's seeing this one little lost lamb that I got to go put my
Exactly.
arms around
Yeah.
and rescue.
And it's needed.
Yep.
And they're both needed, and they're both personality types. And I think sometimes within marriage, when you're running an organization together or whatever, those
Yeah.
two things, you can see them as in conflicts with one another, or you can see them as a gift because we need both.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know? And so so when you guys made the decision for you to take over, you really saw the gifts that you had and what he had. And
Yeah.
how's that played out?
Yeah, it was kind of subtle. I mean, it happened a little bit at a time. There have been moments where I realize that I can be harsh with him, like no one else can be, because of his personality, and I have to go no, and I'll be the one to say to him what all the employees wish they could say, but Mama Julie has to go in and go, no, we can't do that right
Yeah.
now, or we have to be doing this, and so I've learned that I have to be careful with his emotions and his feelings, where I can sometimes in the past, I think God has really helped mature me in this way. I've hurt his feelings,
Sure.
just being blunt, trying to move through the day. Got kids at home that need to be fed. Let's go. And now that they're older and I'm getting older, I'm looking like this man is precious to me.
Yeah.
And even though, yes, I am on an org chart, his boss,
Yeah.
he's still my mate.
Right.
And I have to find ways to inspire him that the normal CEO, he's our CTO. I just named him that. And he's
Yeah.
like really relishing the role now. Chief Technology Officer, for
Love
those
it.
aren't sure what that
I love
means.
it.
But I have to remember that he and I are buddies for life.
Mhm.
And there are ways to get him to do what I need him to do. And I'm learning too that I can also apply that same logic and that same technique to even what I want employees to do. So God
Yeah.
is through attending New Life Church. I said this to somebody just the other day, that my faith is stronger under your leadership than it ever has been. So I'm now applying these techniques that I'm learning in my own faith. How can you really be a Jesus freak and really be a strong leader? I used to say, nope, you got to be kind of a stinker
Mhm.
to lead a company. You got to be harsh and
Right.
in control. That's not, nobody wants to work for someone like that.
Right.
There are company leaders who run their shop like that. There are some pastors who run their shop like that.
Yeah.
We can have it both ways.
Yeah.
We can be loving and get what we want out of people.
Well, I appreciate
It sounds a little manipulative, but it's Jesus did it with the
Well,
disciples. I mean,
I appreciate that compliment that you just gave, but I also, I mean, keeping it real, because we do like to do that. One of the things that I personally struggle with the most is my entire life in leadership was people barking orders.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
obviously, with whether in athletics or different things, even the generation my dad grew up in, he was an only child of a military, father, and so I grew up in a very direct, this is how it is life up to this point. And so even in this context, I'm still learning how to lead well and not, crush people with my
Yep.
command
Yep.
or because
Yep.
it's just how I'm wired.
Well,
that
you want to
way.
get it. You want to hurry up and get things moving,
Right.
and then people don't see what you
But
see.
you can't run people over.
That's right.
And leave them in your wake, because
Yeah.
it's not helpful to your
That's right.
mission.
Or ignore them.
Right.
And I have had a habit of ignoring some of my employees because, like, well, they don't report to me; they report to her.
Mhm.
Lately, I think, what is God? What must that be like to be her and watch the boss come in and go, and then go right into my office and not
Sure.
say anything. And again, Jesus wouldn't do that.
Right.
And I'm supposed to be like Jesus wherever I am.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And I love that one of the best things about what you just said, and really the point of this podcast is I don't care who any of us are. I'm a pastor and I still need to grow.
Yeah.
And I still need to learn. I still need to become more like Jesus. You could become a CEO. You could be the CEO of the biggest, most
Yeah.
successful company in the world. You could be the president of the United States.
Yeah.
But man, we got to have the humility to grow and learn how to love people better and inspire people to great things.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that about you. And just one last thing I want to touch on, because this has been fantastic. When you came to New Life Church, and I'll let you phrase it how you wanted,
Mhm.
but you asked me the question. You felt like you were kind of called to use your gifts
Mhm.
as a leader and even a communicator, because
Mhm.
you're a phenomenal communicator,
Thank you.
musician, all those things that you've been through in your life. You've had just incredible experiences, but you had the question, man, can a woman even speak in church?
Yeah.
You asked me that question, and you even said for a while, and I don't know how long it was, that the enemy of our souls was saying to you, that Satan was saying to you, is just, sit down and shut up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
like, tell me about that,
Mhm.
and kind of where have you come from there, and how do you see yourself now?
Yeah, great question. So there was I've always had a desire. I'll keep notes of interesting topics for messages,
Mhm.
and thought, boy, I'd love to share that. Where do I share that?
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, the song that Satan has had in my head, and it's a terrible song, is "Who do you think you are? Sit down and shut up. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say."
Mm.
And a lot of it comes from messages that I had from growing up in my household. But then battling those, and even into the workplace, as I would try to lead my team, and I would come across a very strong employee, and sometimes I would kind of let them get away with stuff because I didn't want to stand up to them.
Mm.
So for me, it's not only standing up to believing in myself enough because I am a masterpiece,
Mhm.
and having the confidence to not worry whether that employee likes me or not, but also what is it that God would have me do, um, just to help others know more about Him,
Yeah.
and having the desire and the tenacity to say, I can't get rid of these ideas for speaking and these message ideas. I'm going to follow through on it, and I'm going to have the nerve to say something to you one day.
Yeah.
And it was after 21 days of prayer,
Yeah.
and it exposed it. And I appreciated your saying, not at this church. That's not. We're not going to let those voices be heard, because that's from the pit of hell itself.
Yeah.
And so then, we did that great women's event, and,
Yeah.
and everything since then. I've done a few other things and have loved it.
So what would you say? Because honestly, as a leader of New Life Church and our organization that we lead, I want every single person to flourish in the gifts that God has given to them. If there's someone who's listening to this podcast and they're thinking, man, I feel like God's called me to this or gifted me for this, but I hear the voice either from my past or from even friends, even family members saying, sit down and shut up,
Yeah.
or from Satan, whoever that's coming from, even pastors.
Yes.
What would you say to that person? Because my opinion is Jesus wants the church to be mobilized. And it's not just about the gifts that he's given me as the lead pastor. It's about the gifts he's given to every single person.
Yes.
So if you can unleash someone who's listening today to, man, go after it and
Yep.
be a part of what God's doing,
Yep.
what would you tell that person?
I've been reading in Matthew about how Jesus took these guys from all different walks of life and pulled them together into his posse, and he began to put into them. And he knew what each one of their strengths were, because he made them, right? He
Right.
created them. He's God. And how when he was done putting into them, they came out of their shell and said, I am desired and loved, and I have what it takes. And I think that following Christ is the only way that that is ever going to come out of you, because he is your maker. And not only is our brother, but he's also our Savior, and he's our Lord. And so by following him, you begin to say, I don't have to listen to what the world is saying. And the world can mean your family, the world can mean your friends, the world
Right.
can mean
Yeah.
other sources, other voices that you're listening to. But he becomes our world, and he becomes my anchor and my compass of, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to trust him that these thoughts that I have, these dreams, that's hope.
Yeah.
that I can follow him. And if I'll just take the next step and don't give up, those are very Jesus-like things to say and to do. He never gave up right to the end. So if we're going to follow him, we can't give up. We have to be just like him. He told us to be.
Right.
So it's good enough for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, this has been so good. Julie, I am personally so grateful for you. I'm grateful for Tim,
Thank
for
you.
your leadership, your gifts, your faith, how you continue to let God grow you. And man, I hope all of you have benefited from this. We love this. You're going to come back. One day we're going to invite you back and we're going to do this again. But here's the deal. Nobody's perfect, right? We're all in process. So we want to encourage you, man, be unleashed. Be a world changer and a difference maker like Julie Brown. Okay, so never stop growing, never stop learning, and keep leaning in.